Okay, so we've spoken about the sun and the earth and how the earth rotates around the sun. So while this is happening, the moon is also orbiting around the earth. So while the earth's orbiting the sun, the moon orbits the earth. So this will introduce our next phenomena, the main thing that we're discussing today. Obviously this is a massive topic, but we're going to focus on this one today, which is the eclipse. Now what do I mean by the word eclipse? And no, I'm not referring to the third Twilight movie. I'm referring to something that happens in space. So what might we be referring to?
Something to do with a shadow that forms.
Something to do with a shadow that forms? Good, because we're talking about shadows, so it might have something to do with the shadow. Okay, so what an eclipse actually means is when something is aligned and it passes through the light of another object. So at certain times, completely random times, all these things are lined up, they're aligned. So the moon will come around and it will line up and block the light between our sun and earth. And we call this eclipse. So we can see the shadow that it casts onto the earth. So down on earth we experience this as an eclipse. Now there's two different types of eclipse. Does anyone know what they might be called? Has anyone heard those terms before?
Solar eclipse?
Solar eclipse, yes, that's one of them. Does anyone know the other one? Well, the other one is a lunar eclipse. I'll speak about that in just a moment. The first is the solar eclipse. So the difference between the two is that the solar eclipse is where the moon passes through the light between the sun and the earth. So it is eclipsing the sun. So it is a solar eclipse. So that's an easy way to remember it for you guys. So it's a solar eclipse. Now, these are, what happens with these is if we're on Earth, we might experience these, but only a few people will be able to experience the actual eclipse. So we can see here the moon is obviously smaller than the Earth, so it casts a smaller shadow. So the only people that would experience this at a certain time is Madagascar. They would be in the total eclipse. They're in the middle, so they experience it. We can still see this in other countries, but we'll just see it as a shadow passing over the sun. Okay, now the lunar eclipse is the opposite. It is where the Earth is in between the moon and the sun. Now, these ones can be experienced by a lot of different people because the whole night side of the Earth can experience this because the Earth casts a massive shadow, and it's more common because the moon can pass through a bigger area of shadow. We can see that light, shadow, light, shadow. So it's through a massive area. So it's a lot easier to see and a lot more common. Okay, so yeah, that's our solar and lunar eclipses, which have to do with shadows and light in our solar system.